Hello guys, welcome to QA Prayogshala. So guys, in today's episode, we'll understand pom.xml file in bit more detail and what are its different attributes. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get started. Okay, so in previous episode, guys, we have created the Maven project using the command line, and because of that, one pom.xml file was created. Okay, so today we'll understand what are the different important attributes that we should be knowing if we are working with any Maven project. So first of all, I'd like to explain what do we mean by pom.xml file. Okay, so POM, if you see, right, so POM basically it stands for project object model. Okay, uh, so basically POM it is an XML file. Okay, so the type of file is XML basically, and it basically contains all the information that we need, right, while we need to build any Maven project. Okay, so during the build process we need to give certain configuration, so all that configuration, it basically relies within the pom.xml file. So what I will do is, so we have already created one Maven project, right, in our previous sessions. So let me open that. So this is the pom.xml file. So let me open this file. Okay. So this is basically the pom.xml file. Okay. Now, basically, if you can see, there are various attributes. Okay, various different attributes are there. So basically, it is a kind of a configuration file. Okay, configuration file in the sense, what do we mean by a configuration file? Configuration file means, let's say, I am building one application, one simple application. Okay, so for me, the configuration might be different, right? I will be configuring my project the way I want. Okay, now let's say tomorrow you guys are building some different project, different software, so your configuration could be definitely something different, right? Configuration in the sense you can understand, you guys might have used Netflix. Okay, so in the Netflix, if you see, we have different profiles, right? So for me, the profile might be different. But okay, so I might like to watch certain kind of movies, certain action movies, some comedy movies. You guys might like some different kind of category of movies. So your profile would be different. So what is that? That is basically the configuration. Okay, so that was a brief explanation. Okay, now let's come back to the POM file. So here, if you see, here we have one XML version. Okay, so this is nothing but this is the version of the XML file. Okay, so in this case, if you see, this version is nothing but 1.0. Okay, now this version, if you see, it will remain constant. Okay, we don't need to do anything with this version. This will remain constant. Okay, and it won't alter. Okay, so it will be constant. So this is this thing. Okay, encoding, it is again constant. Okay, so this is the basically XML file. So here we have the version. Okay, okay. Now coming back to this POM file. So here if you see, we have one model version. Okay, so this is nothing but this is the POM version. Okay, that is the version of POM. Okay, and it will also remain constant over a period of time. It won't change, it won't alter. Okay, so this is the version, this is about the model version. Now coming back to this thing, so this is the group ID. Okay, this is important. Now group ID, what do we mean by a group ID? Okay, so if you refer my previous video, right, we have created the Maven project. Okay, one Maven project we created, and here if we see, we have two folders. Okay, inside the source we have main and test folder. So if I go inside the main folder and inside the Java, if you see, so here the group ID, it means what? Okay, so group ID, it is nothing but that is the location. Okay, that is the location where our program basically lies. Okay, so this is a kind of a directory where our program lies. I will explain you, right, what do I mean by this. So if you see here, the group ID is com.mycompany.app. Okay, so inside this, if I go, right, so inside this com folder, if you will see, we have my company. Okay, we have my company. So com, then my company. Okay, and finally, if I go inside this, we have app. Okay, we have app, and if I go inside app, we have two different programs here. So basically, this is nothing but this is the exact location where my program lies. Okay, so com, my company, and app, this is the group ID. Okay, this is the group ID of the project. Group ID, in other words, if you can see, so that is the way to categorize several projects. Okay, so inside Maven also, okay, we can have several different projects, right? So one is, let's say, the education related project. Okay, so in that case my group ID would be something like this: edu my company app, or something like that. Okay, so that I can categorize this is so that I can categorize the project as an education project. And basically, if we see, right, the naming convention is something like that, that it will always be the reverse of your application URL. It will always be the reverse of the application URL. Okay, let me give one example. So let's say we have one project like that is the testng project. So here if you see that group ID is org.testng. Okay, so if we go to Google simply, okay, and let me open one new tab. So here if you see the group ID is org.testng, right? So if we type something like this, let's say testng.org. Okay, if I type something like that, and if I click enter, then it will basically open the URL, application URL of testng. This is the official URL of testng, right? So the naming convention is like that, that it will always be the reverse of the application URL. Okay, so that is the group ID. Okay, so this is the group ID. Second thing which we need to understand is the artifact ID. Okay, so artifact ID, guys, it is nothing but that is basically the application or the project name. Okay, this is the application or the project name. So in this case, if you see right here, if we see that there is artifact ID is testng, because the name of the project, okay, it is testng, and hence that is the artifact ID, right? Now, purpose of artifact ID is to uniquely identify the project. Okay, so that we can identify the project uniquely, because there will be several different projects available. And if I want to identify, then how will I identify? Okay, so that is the basic purpose of the artifact ID. Okay, moving ahead, we have next is the version. Okay, now version is also important. Version is nothing but that is the version of this particular software, version of my application. Okay, this is the version of my application. So here if you see, the version of this application is 7.5. Okay, this is the version is 7.5. So in this basically the purpose is, okay, this helps in maintaining the version of the software. So suppose, let's say, tomorrow there is some new update coming up, okay, for this testng application. Then what I need to do is I need to simply alter the version here. And what Maven will do is, while compiling, it will simply download the newer version of the software from the Maven server. Okay, and it will replace all the old libraries, all the jar files with the new jar files. So that is the version. Okay, so that is the version. Okay, okay, so this is important. Okay, moving ahead, if we move ahead, so next important part is the packaging. Okay, next important part which is important is the packaging. Okay. So what do we mean by packaging? Okay. So by default, if I don't, so if you see right, so basically Maven is a build tool, right? Maven is a build tool. So what it does is it will basically integrate all the different units of your project into either a jar file or war file or something like that. Okay, so that we QA guys can basically test that application. Okay, we can test that application. Okay, so next part is the packaging. So here in this, I don't see that thing, but okay, in this pom.xml file, I'm not seeing that. But if you see, right, so if you see, uh, let me go here. Okay, let me go here. So in this, if you see, right, let me go not here. Okay. So this is the official website of Maven. Okay, I will. What I will do is I will also note down this website so that you guys can refer this. Okay. So here, if you see, we have this thing, right? That is the packaging. Okay. So what this means? Okay. So packaging basically it means in which form we want to export this project. Okay, we want to export this project in which form. So once we build this. Okay, once we build this project, then in which format we want to package it. If by default, if we don't provide any packaging, then Maven will assume that it is a jar packaging. Okay, it is a jar packaging. So if you see, we have here the packaging. Okay, if I don't specify anything, then by default, whenever I will be building this project, then the export type it will be jar file. Okay, jar file. Now you need to understand this also. Why I am saying this? Okay, so if you see, right, there is an official repository of Maven. Okay, so if we simply type Maven repository here, okay, if you let's say if you click on this Selenium, then and if you click here, that is the Selenium Java. Okay, so here basically is the latest version of this particular software. Okay, if you click here basically, so for this is the dependency of Selenium. Okay, so if I simply what if I copy this dependency into my pom.xml file, I already have that dependency basically. So what it does is it will basically download this version, okay, this version of Selenium jars from the Maven repository, so packaging type here is the jar file. Okay, so inside jar file, if you will see, there is nothing but that there is a list of libraries. Selenium libraries would be there. Inside Selenium libraries, what would be there? There would be pre-built code would be there that we can reuse. Okay, so that is about packaging. Okay, so if you specify jar, then it will build in the form of jar file. If you specify war, then it will be building in the form of a war file. So that is about the packaging. Then last attribute that I would like to explain you guys is this dependencies. Okay, so this dependencies is a very cool feature. Okay, believe me, it is very cool feature. So earlier, what we used to do, guys, right? If you remember that, let's say if I want to use the test ng, okay, suppose I want to use the test ng feature. Okay, uh, then in that case what I need to do is I basically need to go to the testng website, and over there I need to search for testng jars, and then I need to import those jars inside my Eclipse project and all such stuff I need to do. Now the in with the help of Maven, what has happened is, so suppose if I want to use testng, what I need to do is I simply need to go to the MVN repository. I need to search for testng. Okay, and here I can see I can get all the latest versions of the testng. Okay, and I can simply use them. Okay, and simply I need to copy this dependency, okay, and here, and that in that way it will simply download all the test and jar files from the Maven repository. Okay, so this is the dependency attribute. Okay, so these are some of the important attributes. If you see, right, these are some of the important attributes that we need to know, okay, in order to work with the Maven. Okay, so that's it for today's episode, guys. So in the next episode, we'll learn more about how to create a Maven project using Eclipse and how can we download new dependencies. Okay, so that will be covered in the next episode. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this.